If the issue is I really need to talk to my dad, then I'm going to put as much time and as much energy into getting that going. I want to talk to my son. Absolutely, are you kidding me? I'll spend hours trying to do that. And but that will be where my focus is. But if somebody says, I know that my mother's with me, or I know my dad's around, or what have you, but I really need help with this particular project or this particular way of how am I supposed to get over this particular hurdle, then I know that those in the spirit, they know that those in the spirit are with them, and I know that those in the spirit world are with them. So we sort of in a consultation where we're doing a motivational consultation, we really focus on what is going on with that particular problem, and let's see how we can solve it, or let's see what guidance we can give in order that you might solve it.
So, Rosemary, while you were talking, you went off of live again and came back on. So some of what you've said didn't go through, and I think people are popping back on again. So it's really unfortunate that Restream is acting up today. But to answer the question that you asked for me to read the comment. So,
well, we're talking for those of us who sort of were not able to come back on. We're talking about when I am doing this, but in this particular instance, a motivational or group sessions where I'm able to, with Gregor's help, I'm able to motivate, I'm able to see what the blocks are, to see where the problems are, and with certain insight, be able to say to somebody, okay, here are your blocks, this is what you need to do to overcome them, and then it's down to you whether you do that or whether you don't do that. Okay, Chris, so we did one of these fairly recently. Chris was there with me while we were doing this. We actually did it online and it worked great, right, Chris?
Oh yeah. So there was a group of 8 individuals plus Rosemary and myself. And this was a group of people who have projects in mind, but they seem to have come up against blockages and needed help pushing through or understanding what they were. Yes. So this is a comment from one of the people who attended. So it says, our accountability group invited Rosemary Altea, a spiritual medium, to one of our accountability meetings. She spoke to each person individually while we all witnessed. That was several months ago. Before she came, each of us was stuck in our own way, moving forward, but slowly, definitely feeling stuck. Now each of us has had a breakthrough. She told each of us exactly what we needed to hear, and we heard it. It has been amazing. You may say the breakthroughs were coming anyway, but I'm talking about roadblocks that have haunted each of us for ages. Now we have each moved past them and are moving forward. If you are feeling stuck and can't figure out why the same old is going on, I highly recommend Rosemary. I'm not tied to her in any way. This is not a commercial for her. This is to help you remove those blocks that may have been keeping you small for years out of your way. Then she goes on to give your website, rosemaryaltea.com, and then says, she calls a spade a spade.
Oh,
she is, yes. She is gentle, but calls out your stuff. If you are ready, the messenger arrives.
And that was so nice of her to write that.
That really was.
We really appreciate it. And I love the fact that she thinks I call a spade, and I do. I do try, and this is very important to me, and it's been very important to me since I began working as a spiritual medium. There is no mystery here. There's no such thing as the paranormal. People talk about the paranormal like it's something that's beyond our reach. I don't believe in the paranormal, and I don't believe in the supernatural. So there you have it from me. You see, I call a spade, so to speak. There is no such thing in my book as the paranormal, because everything about the universe is normal. and exciting. And maybe we don't understand it, but nevertheless, it is normal, and it's up to us as individuals to realize that and to treat it as normal. Because when we say it's paranormal, when we say it's out there beyond our reach, we're putting up a barrier right there. And I don't believe in the supernatural, because everything is normal, everything is natural, everything is as it should be. Everything is there for us to understand, there for us to use if we can possibly, do so. Or we find someone who can use these, let's say, these abilities, normal, natural abilities. People used to look at me, and some people still look at me as if to say, well, gosh, she's weird. Well, you know what? Then so be it. So I'm a little bit weird, but I'm perfectly normal. I'm perfectly natural, and in a very gentle way. I always feel that I'm the what is it? The iron fist in the velvet glove, because I think that sometimes for many of us, we need that hard lesson. For many of us, we need that hard comment. For many of us, we need that tough love, that tough guidance. Um, Always, though, in the velvet glove. In other words, we give the tough love, but gently, and we try to do it in a very gentle way. And Gregor and I, well, you could not get a more gentle and more beautiful uh, being than Gregor, and he is so gentle, and he's laughing at me, but because, boy, as gentle as he is, he's tough, and I've received tough love from him, and I've given tough love. I give tough love to my grandson. I give tough love to my daughter. Uh, Always with the mostly, or mostly, usually in that velvet glove. And I think that's what we all have to learn to do. Tough love is, it's, somebody said, about how or why did God give us love? I mean, tough love is that kind of love that we need to give to our children. And sometimes we do need, in my case, I do need to give it to my clients, because otherwise they'd never get off their butts. They'd never change their lives. They'd never do anything about, making things better for themselves. And so sometimes you have to give that tough love or that push. It's always worth it, and always, or almost always, given in the velvet glove. Chris.
So, Rosemary, I'm getting feedback finally in the chat room. Dean let me know that basically after 10 minutes, nothing came on until about 8 to 10 minutes ago.
Oh dear.
And another person, I think it was Cheryl, said it was off for a half hour.
Well,
So
we're very sorry about that. We're here, right, Chris?
well, we
we've
were
been here.
talking. It seemed like we were talking to thin air, though, weren't we?
Well, I don't know. I was talking to you, and you were talking to me. So hey.
So
We're very sorry, everybody. There's nothing we can do about it. We might be able to retrieve the recording. I don't know. We'll check into that. We might be able to retrieve what we've done. And if that is the case and we can retrieve it, we certainly will put it out there.
So you've got at least a few questions here.
Go for it.
Danita Wish Art joined, right as you were talking about those group consultations.
Good.
And she mentioned that she would love that, totally need to work through some blocks. Then Cheryl says, does anyone want to say hello to me from the other side? It can't hurt to ask.
Cheryl, it certainly can't hurt to ask. We are going to be doing webinars where Gregor and I are going to be talking to those in the spirit world. We're going to be giving messages. It's going to be a webinar, or they are going to, because we're going to be doing multiple ones eventually. They are going to be webinars that solely concentrate and solely focus on messages from the spirit world. So keep going to the website, because as soon as we know what we're doing, I promise you that it's coming. I promise you that it's coming this year. I promise you it's coming in the next few months. I daren't put a date on it yet because we're still working on, getting this organized, but we are going to be doing that. So if you are out there and you want a message from your loved ones in the spirit world, if you want to join our webinars, talking to the dead, or whatever it is we decide to call those webinars, please keep a check on the website, and keep checking in. Also, if you subscribe, you will know before anybody else. So if you go to the website and you subscribe, you will be in line for a newsletter which comes out once a month, and it will tell you and it will give you the date. Now, heads up, everybody, because these group sessions, by their very nature, we're not going to have a lot of people. It's not going to be hundreds of thousands of people in these webinars. We're going to limit the amount of people who can come in at any given time. So the sooner you know about it and the sooner you click on and get your ticket, the better chance you have of being in on those webinars. So, Chris.
Yeah, absolutely. You want to sign up for our newsletter, send an email to the office asking to be signed up for the newsletter, and then you're basically going to get first dibs for any of Rosemary's events
But
because they will be sold out.
I also do want to say, Chris, they all missed your finger wagging at them. Share,
It wasn't.
share, she said.
It wasn't meant to be finger wagging. It was meant to be good advice.
I'm teasing. Would you like
Yeah,
to
if
say it again for anybody who's listening?
I'm sure I'll say it in a different way now.
No.
If
Say it the way you said it. Come on.
I won't remember how I said it, unfortunately, but I was saying something about the really smart, intelligent people subscribe to the YouTube channel, email the office, or use the contact button on the website to say, please add me to your email list.
Yes.
Because that means you're first in line for everything.
It also means you're smart, right, Chris? Is that what you said?
That's what I was trying to say. Really smart, intelligent people. That's what they do.
And you also said share, right?
That's where I was going next. And then those who have experienced Rosemary for all these years, or even if you've just joined over the past few weeks, you know who Rosemary is. You know what she does. You know the value she brings. And so wouldn't you want your friends and family to know about it? And that means share these live shows with them. Mention that they're on, what time they're on, and ask them to join. So do you want any more questions? I know we're over time, Rosemary, but we did say we'd go a little bit later since this little technology.
Can you manage to do that, Chris?
Absolutely. For all our friends out there, we will. Absolutely.
We should go over a little bit because it does seem that we're back to normal now. So let's.
Yes. So Mary says, Rosemary, my dad, who has passed, helped me with a cheating issue like your father did.
How nice. I'm so glad you shared that with me. Yes, it was only after my father passed that, there are no coincidences. So if I say out of the blue, I discovered my husband and my best friend in my house using my bed on a day when I had organized her daughter's birthday party in my house. I was giving her daughter a big birthday party. All the food was laid out in the kitchen. All the party invitations had gone out, and I walked in on this horrific thing going on. I mean, look, if you're going to be naughty, can you just, try and hurt as few people in the process as you possibly can, please? And within, I'm going to say within 20 minutes of my discovering all of this with my best friend, all of these kids started coming for the birthday party. And another friend of mine who was with me sat with me through the entire birthday party. Luckily, the weather was good. We had it outside. And I had to sit there and be the hostess with the mostest for all of these children. And I'm going to tell you this is what happened. So I'll tell you this because sometimes people are just unbelievable, aren't they? So gosh, airing this laundry. I can air it now because probably everybody's too old to care or something. Anyway, some people are perhaps even dead. But I can remember sitting there on the lawn watching all these kids playing and giving them games to play and so on. And my best friend, who had sort of, she'd escaped, she'd sneaked off, let's put it that way, and gone to work. She wasn't even involved in the party and didn't ever give any help to the party. But she so and I can't remember where my husband was at that time, probably licking his wounds in the bedroom or something. And I was sitting out there with my friend, and all of a sudden I feel somebody come and sit down next to me on the lawn. And it's this woman who I've just caught with my husband. Oh, hi, she says. Oh, they seem to be having a nice time. And I had two choices. I mean, what would your choices be? I had two choices, right? I could sort of do her severe damage in front of maybe 15 to 20 little children, all of them 5 years old, or I could get up and walk away from it. And you'll be pleased to know that I took the gracious route and I got up and walked away from it. And because I just was so disgusted. Anyway, the spirit world does help us with this. And the only reason I think I found out in the way that I did was because my father, having passed, was no longer going to let me be the fool. And so in the weirdest way, I'll tell that story another time perhaps, in the weirdest way, I turned up way too early, totally unexpected, to discover all of this going on. That's my story. Look, I'm still smiling. I'm so grateful for it to have happened, not in the way that it did, but I'm so grateful that I was able to discover what a lying, cheating, miserable human being my husband was. Maybe he's changed. Maybe he's nice. Maybe he doesn't lie anymore. Who knows? Let's be hopeful, shall we, Chris?
Definitely. Laura was asking, my dear, so nice to hear from you. Have you got a message for me? I suspect you're going to give the same message as you gave to Cheryl.
I am. So, but thank you for joining and thank you for asking. And it doesn't hurt to ask. So just if you want to ask, just keep asking. Keep going, Chris.
Lewis says, good morning, Rosemary.
Good morning.
In April of 2000, I lost two loved ones in 2 weeks' time, and I needed some closure. Rosemary in a city and over the phone, she's spot on in everything. I had long hair and had cut it off, and Rosemary told me my brother loved my haircut and his spirit would be with me always. I found such peace.
Oh,
So I think Lewis came to see you, and this was the message that you gave him.
thank you so very much for sharing that with us. And I do think it's very helpful for other people to listen. If you've had a good experience with me or with somebody else, I think it's really helpful for people who are not sure, and they're fascinated by the subject, but they're not necessarily sure what's going to happen, or is it really real? And so to share these things. So thank you so very much for sharing that with us, and I'm glad you're feeling good about it, Chris.
Jennifer wants to know, do you have any advice you can give her for her business? It's starting to pick up, which is great. Anything she should be doing?
Keep doing what you're doing. Keep doing more of what you're doing. That's what you need to be doing. And I don't know if are we still there, Chris? Because I've just got a big red bar going across and it's now disappeared. Are we still there? Do we still have people?
It still says live, and I still have people.
Okay. All right. Keep going.
Pamela is telling us our voices are being delivered in an extreme volume difference. Rosemary's is light and mine is very loud. She has to keep turning her volume down.
Again, we do apologize, but it really has nothing to do with us. I just would like, for those of you who did not then understand, we were talking about the difference in consultations, and do you think that people heard what we said, Chris, or do we need to repeat that?
I think there's a mix. Some people on Facebook stayed with us and they could hear it, and then the other people on YouTube lost everything.
Oh,
So it's maybe, maybe we can just do it another time and you can just lay out what the
I think
options
so.
are.
Let's deal with the questions. Let's deal with some more questions or comments.
All right. Dawn says, I've been trying to move forward after my husband's death 5 years ago. I'm thinking of moving to another province, and I'm hoping this is a good path for me. Does Spirit have any advice for me?
Well, Grey Eagle certainly has some advice for you, and that is that you must follow your heart, my darling, and do what it is that you want to do. I'm glad that it's taken you, you know, a little while to come to this decision of whether or not you should move, because very often when we lose someone, we make snap decisions, or we make decisions based on our emotional the emotional trauma that has gone on with us. And so, for all of you out there who've lost someone, try, if you can, to wait at least a year before you decide on any major moves or any major decisions in your life. Take the time to grieve, take the time to sort of breathe, take the time to deal with what is happening to you before you then make decisions to make those changes. So yes, I think you're in a good place, and you've just got to follow your heart and follow where you think you should be. I'm pretty sure your husband is guiding you, by the way. Chris.
Mark says, Rosemary, I texted a message earlier. It may have gone away. I had a vision as I saw my niece preparing for an early Zoom meeting at 7 a.m. Eastern. I saw her applying makeup in her small bathroom. She was wearing a beige top and a scarf of sorts. Then saw her turning on her Zoom and heard her say she was having internet issues and was talking to someone. Later on in the morning, she called me and I blurted out what I saw. She said I was spot on and was amazed. Is this the beginning of my gifts?
So, can you do this slowly, young man? Slowly, slowly. Take each experience, do it gently, do it carefully. Please do it slowly. Just wait and see, and wait for the next experience and the next, and you'll know when uh, there is this new beginning. Chris.
Christy says, with regard to your story about your husband, they don't change. Sorry that happened to you. I'm most disappointed with your friend.
Well, listen, I think that, to be honest with you all, my friends' disloyal actions were probably more painful to me than my husband's disloyal actions to me, because I was used to his, so well, as much as you can be. Um, Again, I don't know how many of you heard this, but my advice to my younger self would be, don't expect, because expectation of others, expectation of others' behavior, expectation of any kind, you setting yourself up for disappointment. Be hopeful about things, and be hopeful about people. So I'm hoping, when you say they never change, is a little bit of a cynical comment, and I do think that people change, and given the right, and it just could be that at that time we were young, at that time I wasn't right for him, he wasn't right for me. People do actually change if they're with the right person. I think that people can change. I'm hopeful. I'm not expecting miracles, but I'm hopeful. Right, Chris.
Megan and Jose say, I just want to say I love you.
Oh, Megan, thank you. Jose, thank you. Uh, I'm so glad that you're able to say that out loud. And as we said earlier, you may have missed it. For those of you who are struggling to share what is inside of you, don't do what so many people do. I have to deal with people all the time in the spirit world who, I wish I'd said this, and if only I'd done that, and if only I'd shown him or her that this and this and so on, if only I'd opened up. So for all of you out there who can't, or who struggle with opening up, just grab your courage in your hands, will you, and just spit it out. So thank you, both of you for saying that. And, I hope you all can feel the love that I feel for all of you. Chris.
Jennifer says, I would like to hear from my mother and father.
Oh, okay, and I'm going to say you need to, maybe you should consider booking a consultation with someone, whether it's me or someone else. If it's someone else, just make sure that they know what they're doing, that they're good. Um, keep trying, Jennifer. Just because I'm saying no today, I'm going to say no to anybody today who has this question, because we've had glitches all morning and we're trying to get as many questions in as we possibly can. Um, I I do understand, Jennifer, why you would ask this question, but we are going to do webinars. We're going to have webinars where maybe you'll be lucky and maybe you will manage to talk to them. Chris.
All right, so then I'm going to skip over anyone who's asking for a message.
Yep.
Mary says, thank you. Daddy's in heaven. Thank you, Rosemary, for demonstrating the utmost grace.
Thank you. Is there something behind that? Should I know
Well,
you?
well, yes, you've spoken to Mary many times.
I thought so. I thought so. And thank you for sharing that, Mary. Thank you.
Danita Wish Art says, honestly, people can change because I am one of them.
Oh, Danito, that sounds very positive. I hope you changed for the better. I think you might have done. And again, I remain hopeful. And I think sometimes again, we're coming back to soul signs and the different types of energy each of us is. Sometimes you can be with a person who brings out the worst in you. And then you're with somebody else who brings out the best in you. So it's not necessarily that you've changed. You've discovered that within yourself that you do have a negative side and a positive side, and the person who you now with, or the experience that you now are having, encourage that positive side out of you, which is, I'm very hopeful that I do believe that people can that they can change. I really do, and thank you for sharing that with us. Yes, Chris.
Megan says, aloha from Maui. My aunt recommended me read The Eagle and the Rose, and we both loved your book so much. I can't wait to read your other writings and subscribe to your newsletter.
Oh,
Thank you for
thank you.
sharing your gift with us.
Oh, you're very, very welcome. Well, of course, The Eagle and the Rose is my first book, still in print after so many years.
Be proud of them, Rosemary. Be proud of
25
every year.
years. 25 years this year. 25 years this May the 19th. The Eagle and the Rose was published. So we are going to do somewhat of a celebration. I'm not quite sure what we're going to do, but we are going to do somewhat of a celebration because, oh my gosh, a quarter of a century ago, that book was written and published. And look, 25 years later, people are still discovering it. People are still reading it. People are still saying, we love that book. I mean, that for me is a huge achievement. So thank you, everybody, for that. Yes, Chris.
Valvacious wants to know
Hi, Valvacious.
how to find your purpose in life.
Well, again, we did talk about, having consultations which are more to do with motivation, inspiration, and, sort of helping people to discover, their talents, their gifts, and how and where and why they should, work at removing the blocks that stop us from growing. So I think, Valvations, you might be one of those people who needs that type of a consultation. If you want to know more about the different types of consultations, by the way, keep watching the website because because we've had so many people sort of, we've been talking about this for so long and so many people are curious as to, what they can expect from a consultation and why they would even bother with a consultation. So we thought we'd put some sort of information up on the website. So we're going to be doing that hopefully in the next few days, right, Chris?
I certainly hope so, because I know
Good.
even when you talk about soul signs, if you have a small work group, a work team, and you want to just improve it and bring it to another level and they have a consultation with you, wow, how much more could they do?
Right. I mean, I always smile when we talk about businesses, and people are put in place. This person is good at their job, and this person is good at their job, but boy, you can never get them together to connect and to communicate. And that's when people with people who run businesses want to know what kind of what kind of a soul sign should go with what other kind of soul sign. Because let me tell you, if you are an earth sign, if you're employing an earth sign and you inadvertently put the earth sign with the fire sign, you're not going to get much work done. You're not going to get very much achievement, because they're going to clash, clash, clash. But if you put an earth sign and a water sign together, you're going to get ideas, planning, action, and compromise. I mean, boy, that's great. If you put a fire sign and an air sign together, you're going to get this creative mix that is amazing and beautiful. But also, if you can, like, for instance, if we can go into groups within groups of people, earth signs, water signs, fire signs, and air signs, if we can help them to understand why there are these clashes, and we can help them to understand how you can get over the clashes and communicate with each other in a positive and constructive way. So in business, you can see how important it is in any business venture, how important it is to make sure that you're employing the right people and you're putting the right team of people together. Chris?
So there's just 3 more comments, and then I think we'll end it from there.
Yes.
Megan says, what you've said that they were able to hear is, "It gives me so much hope." Jennifer says, "Thank you." Sissy says, "How can I have a conversation online with you?"
Email the office. It's very, very simple. You email the office, you email Chris, Kris, at rosemaryaltea.com, and ask her that very question, and she'll send you all the details that you need to know. So please, if you want to know more about my books, if you want to have a conversation with me or consultation with me, if you want to know more about what we're up to, please email the office, Rosemary Altea, Rosemary at rosemaryaltea.com, or if you, Chris sees to these things, so if you email Chris, Kris, at rosemaryaltea.com. If you want to know more, I'm going to suggest that you go to our website, because we are updating on a fairly regular basis, and you'll find all sorts of information there. And if you subscribe, all you have to do is press the subscribe button. You don't have to pay anything. It doesn't cost you anything. We will absolutely not inundate you with emails. We've got too much of everything else to do. You might get 1 or 2 emails in a month, and that's pretty much it, I think. So please subscribe. It doesn't cost anything, and you'll be kept in the loop with what's happening. You'll be the first to know. You'll be the insiders. You'll have all the inside info that helps you to decide which webinar you want to go to, or which show you want to watch, or who knows what else there is going on there. So I would like to say thank you to all of you for watching. I'm so very sorry again that we had these glitches, and there's nothing we can do about it. So we're keeping our fingers crossed that you keep the faith, keep watching anyway. We're hoping that next week, or on Saturday, because on Saturday morning at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, we're going to have our story time. And I should be there with Chris just the same, and we're going to have another fabulous and wonderful story time, and we'll also have time, hopefully some questions and all of that stuff too. So thank you, all of you, for joining. I'd like to say thank you to Chris especially, because you're having to deal with all this technical stuff, Chris. And I would especially particularly like to say thank you to Grey Eagle for being present. And thank you again, all of you. Please have a very blessed rest of the day. And hopefully I shall see you on the Saturday for another go around story time with Rosemary Altea. Bye, everybody.